a guest joining us, even though I didn't mention it, but now I'm mentioning it. Brandon Dent, Woodward Sports beat reporter for the Detroit Pistons, my good friend. You've been busy this week, man. You've been grinding. Holding it down. I know you are. And I went down with you to media day, and I was there for 4 hours, and I'm like, holy, how do you do this? You're there every single day grinding over there. So shout out to everyone at the Pistons, by the way, because you had some cool things going on this week. Before we get into all the basketball side of things, where were you yesterday? Could you speak on that event specifically? Because you got a new T-shirt.
Yeah. Look, if you guys can see it, man, the legendary, I had to support, man, but the legendary St. Cecilia's gym. The Pistons and Belfor group, they have joined up to jumpstart a restoration of not just the gym, but the surrounding community, and they're calling it Ceciliaville. All the legends, some of the legends that found their start there, man, like Greg Kelser, the legend Derek Coleman.
Oh, he was out there.
Grant Long and Dave Bing, the mayor. You know, like these guys were out there, Front Street, man, ready to lend anything that they could because they said that their starts were here. Greg Kelser told me about how he and Irvin Magic Johnson, they met. You know, Michigan State greats. Mm-hmm. They met on the steps of St. Cecilia's gym because Dave Bing, who's about 15 years older than them, invited them out. Like, to be able to hear those types of stories, to hear how they were impacted. They didn't know where their lives were headed. But that gym and that community and those people around there meant so much to them. And they were just kind of sad to see it go. And now they're glad to be a part of the restoration of it all and hoping that it can help not just people from Detroit, because Magic wasn't from Detroit. Grant Long wasn't from Detroit. These were people, other people. Some were from Flint, some were from Lansing, some were from Romulus. They were all over. They're hoping that this can be a beacon for kids all over the state of Michigan to be able to get a start. And, shout out to my man, Earl Curitan. Earl. If I don't mention him, he was one of the guys that really, really, really helped to spearhead this thing. He's at every single community event. And he was just blessed to kind of be a part of it, to kind of help get this thing going. And it's just a beautiful thing. He said it helps to get the kids off the street, and not just that, but it gives them something meaningful.
And no question. And by the way, speaking of Dave Bing, a lot of respect to him, but, has he ran into Cade? Has he gotten a chance to chop it up with him? Does he still feel like Cade's not a player you can build around, or what?
You know what? We didn't get a chance to ask him that. That was the only of the legends that I didn't get to speak with yesterday. Obviously, he spoke with a couple people, but when I get an opportunity, bro, that's something I do want to ask him about. Like, hey, has Cade changed your opinion at all?
Yeah.
Those are comments. I love Dave Bing, but those comments were kind of they were wild.
And he kind of clarified it, but still, people remember what you said. You clarify it all you want, man. Like when you say Cade and someone you can build around. Sam Flannel, you got anything?
Oh yeah. So Kool-Aid.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about media days and all of that, the person that I am always excited to hear from the most is the head coach, of course, being Monty Williams. Is there anything that Monty Williams said that kind of gave you some insight into the team, and were you impressed by his performance overall?
Oh, yeah. I believe that Monty Williams is worth at least 5 to 10 wins, not over last year's team, but over the team that had Cade Cunningham and Jeremy Grant. That's what I honestly believe. He's come in and he set a tone. With Phoenix, he said, no egos. We're checking that at the door, and everybody's going to have to work hard. We're resetting everything. You're going to have to earn your spots. And that's what he's telling people. Obviously, we know that there are guys who are going to earn those spots, but he said that nothing is given. He said we will defend, and if you're not defending, you're not playing.
Right.
And what's been even more succinct is what he's been saying at the training camps. I know people have been wondering what's up with this kind of too big lineup that they've been experimenting with like the last season, the season before. He said that's done away with. Marvin Bagley and James Wiseman are competing for that backup big spot. So, I like the return to defense because I know with the Jeremy Grant Pistons, the second half of the season, they were competitive. 10-14 record with Cade Cunningham in the lineup. A couple of those games, if they win, they're 500 in those games. But the key piece was Jeremy Grant, in which a lot of people clamored, we need to get a shooter at that position. And we switched to Bojan Bogdanovic, and we saw it didn't really pan out. So now it's good to see them going back to that, with defense being the base of what they say is going to spur winning. And all-out hustle. He said, I don't want just defense in half court. I want defense like full court. I want it in transition. I want guys thinking.
Right.
And hopefully, he said that this will help to spur our offense because they got speedy, athletic guys.
And I want to ask you, because he has the clip of Monty. Can you play the clip of Monty speaking? I think it was your video, actually. And he brought up Killian versus Monty Morris, and you're going to want to hear this.
Monty and Killian. Killian's a guy that can make plays, plays both ends. But in particular, Monty is a guy who has a historical body of work. to be able to play with the ball and off the ball. In Denver, he played off of it more because of Jokic. Last year, they played him some as the primary ball handler, and he's a guy that he understands how to play. He can settle the dust when things are getting a little out of hand. I think he can do that.
Wow. Speaking on Killian Hayes and Monty Morris there, I want to ask you, at least for Killian Hayes.
Yeah.
And for people that don't know, like when he was first drafted, I bought a jersey.
We know.
Get him, Flannel. Get him, Flannel.
You wear it very often. It's
I do
okay.
not. I had hope for Killian Hayes. I officially was out on Killian, I think, last year. And he played well last year, but my mind was...
In stretches.
Yeah, in stretches. He did.
Okay.
If you guys he did. Again, there was like a stretch of the season where he was averaging double-digit points and actually shooting above 40% and shooting like 30s from three. But then there came a time where the draft happened. You signed Monty Morris. You drafted Marcus Sasser. You upgraded that backup point guard role. And now Monty brought up he could play the two guard too, and he likes his passing ability, his ability to defend. Your opinion, though, the future of Killian Hayes. And I was asked this question by Sean, and I want to ask you it because it's a good question. Who sticks around to the end of the season? Who's more likely to? Wiseman or Killian Hayes?
I think Killian Hayes is more likely to stick around to the end of the season.
Okay.
I really do. And I can tell you this. A lot of us were surprised with him bringing up Killian Hayes because it was unprovoked. Nobody asked necessarily about Killian Hayes. The question before that was about the impact that Monty Morris is going to make. And, I know that training camp just started. They've been practicing for the last 2 days, but Monty Williams has actually been with the team while they've been scrimmaging. He said this is the most that they've scrimmaged. Killian Hayes stayed in Detroit. You remember the old refrain? Keep Killian in Detroit, lock him in the gym. That's what this summer was for him.
Right.
So Monty's actually seen him work. He's seen him scrimmaging with the guys. So when he brings this question up, when he's answering this question about the impact of Monty Morris, he's like, whoa. Y'all just skipping over Killian. That to us spoke, and you talk about is there hope for him? Well, that's Monty Williams throwing the logs on the fire.
Right.
That's not us. It's not us stoking the flames. All we're going to do is report to you that he's saying that this is what he sees out of Killian. Playmaking, two-way ability, and the ability to play more than just a point guard, which is something that we continue to talk about. Like, I think he's a combo guard. And we've seen point guards forced or combo guards forced into a point guard's role.
Right.
And sometimes it just doesn't fit. And when you have a guard like that with the ball in his hands a lot, in this NBA, you also need him to be able to score efficiently, heavily, and readily. That's what worked with Ivy. That's what worked with Cade. But Killian is not necessarily that guy. And I think Monty Williams knows that. So he's looking to put him in a better position to succeed.
If he's playing off ball, just knock down a jumper. Sam, you can go ahead.
Ooh.
Knock down a jumper.
And honestly, I don't think he's shown anything in his career that tells me that he can hit a consistent jumper. But you know what? Let's not talk about Killian Hayes anymore. Let's talk about one Asar Thompson. I think we all have a lot of hope for Asar Thompson. Is there any insight, Kool-Aid, that you can give me about him and your expectations for him this season?
Look, man, every time I've got to talk to Asar, we've even seen him at the park, man.
He's so polite.
But he's not phased. He's not rattled. He is polite. But he's just, some of the questions we ask him about basketball, you see his face go like, what? Like, are you serious? I asked him a question about, hey, man, you're versatile, 1 through 4. What do you think? What's your favorite position? He was like, bro, there's no positions. I'll just do whatever they ask me. At the media day, you heard him say, I can play all of these positions. I'm ready to go. Asar Thompson, the thing that people are raving about is his defense. You were at media day with me, Jeff. You heard a lot of his teammates say, including Beef Stew, oh, no, he's ready right now. Day one ready right now. Right now. I'm hearing some stuff that he's impressing people to the point that he actually might have a good opportunity to start sooner rather than later.
In your take on this, I want your thoughts, because I figured he was going to start. Like, I thought when I heard the news, well, he could come off the bench, I was a little shocked. I'm like, really?
Well, it was because of the comments that Troy Weaver made. When they first drafted him, I think Troy wanted to be able to make sure he tempered some expectations. Let him get out there on the floor, let him play a summer league game first, let him get with his teammates, and let him earn it, because that's what they're doing now. Monty Williams' whole mantra is you're going to earn it. So there's nothing given. You're not just walking in like Jaden Ivey and just here's your starting spot. It's not gifted. Killian Hayes, here's your spot. So it's like they're starting this thing over, and Monty Williams is bringing the system that's like, dope, I like the pick. but he's going to have to prove to me that he can contribute. And the aspect here, if we're talking about shooting, the one component here is that Bojan Bogdanovic is a ready-made, microwave scorer, bro. You come into the game last year, look at the Pistons games to start the season. He was getting like 8 points in the first 12 minutes of the first 6 minutes, man. That sometimes when you're talking about a young team and it can take time to get going, sometimes a guy like Bojan can kind of just get it going quickly. But the impact that I'm hearing Asar Thompson can make, just overall, with the ball in his hands, if he's playing off ball, as a lob threat, as a playmaker, as a defender full court, as hustler, and he can rebound, and he gets blocks and steals. These are things that we're kind of hearing. I don't know how you keep that type of impact on the bench, especially when you know the last time that they had any pulse on defense and any pulse as a team was with Jeremy Grant playing that same position. That to me speaks volumes.
The hardest bar Troy Weaver said was, we're not the Pistons if we don't defend.
Bars.
Like that.
Bars.
Because he's right. Like, that's essentially what historically this franchise has always been a part of. But before you go here, I appreciate you joining us. I want to ask you, and I know I've asked you this before, but I'm hoping maybe it changes. We'll see. Win-loss record. Give it to me. What do you think? Or at least a range. Give me a range.
I want to see no less than 35 wins.
Okay.
No
less
than 35. If the guys are healthy, 35 to me, because I said this with Rod Beard on the Woodward Pistons podcast, brought to you by Woodward Sports.
There you go.
Shout out to Rod Beard as well, man.
Legend. The legend.
Over there at the Detroit News. Now, there's 5 losses you should have and 5 losses you shouldn't have, with teams like this. I want to see the Pistons start to kind of eliminate those things and hold firm. You hear Cade, he's tired. He was annoyed at media day. He's been annoyed. Like, he wants to win. Ivy is annoyed. These guys want to win, and they've added a couple more vets. And when you talk about the shooting, people say they can't shoot. Bro, Alec Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic, Joe Harris.
Monty Morris.
He
shot like 40 from 3.
What 3 players are you putting on any other squad in the league that's all has the ability to shoot 40% plus? Like, that's formidable.
Right.
If Joe Harris is healthy and if Alec Burks is healthy, and we know what Bojan Bogdanovic is going to do.
And I think Cade will be serviceable, man. Like 35, at least 35% from 3.
Especially with 2 legs underneath him now.
There you go.
Definitely, man.
So part of that's and that's the whole thing with the shooting thing. Like, people, where's the shooting? Where's the shooting? Where's the shooting? And for me, I advocated for Taylor Hendricks because he could do both. But part of that was like, dude, this team can't defend. Like, Asar can defend, and you needed that too. But I appreciate you joining, Brandon. Tell the people where they can find you, what things you're doing behind the scenes.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Always, check out Woodward Sports, but we get busy on Woodward Pistons as well. And at Detroit Kool-Aid, man, as always. I appreciate you, brother.
There you go. Great work. You can follow him, again, on Twitter as well. Man's posting all the time. He's everywhere for the Pistons. So if you want your exclusive Pistons coverage, Woodward Sports and Brandon Dent on Twitter. Appreciate you, Brandon. We'll go to break. When we get back, we'll get into some more Lions here. I want to grade the offense and defense. We'll give our grades out, so much more. But first, Sam, could you tell everybody about our friends over at Premier Pet?
Oh, of course. When it